Welcome back to the channel. No, your calendar isn't wrong. Today isn't Friday. Well, maybe it is. If it is, you're late. Today we have a video on a question you guys ask me a lot. How do I dry out interiors? Well, today I'm going to show you. And because I know I'm getting the standard question, where is the Mustang? Here is the Mustang. Video link is up there of why I'm not working on it right now. So go ahead and watch that if you want to see the Mustang. But if you want to learn how to dry interiors, let's check out today's video. It doesn't have to be a flood car. It could be a car that you bought from the auction with a broken window and they did a less than stellar job taping it up. It could also be a simple job like drying out an interior after you left your windows or sunroof open on a night that it rained. Or like this car, the window regulator was broke, they couldn't put the window up, and it rained last night. In any case, the interior in this car is soaked and we got to dry it out. So I'm going to show you how. So this is the aftermath of all the rain last night. Unfortunately, most of the problem is what you can't see, and that's how much water is in the padding. This stuff can be vacuumed up with a shop vac to dry off the surface, but the water underneath that's in the padding will never dry. You can let it sit for years and it will keep the moisture in because there is no airflow and it's trapped in there. So we have to get it out. The only way to get it out is pull the interior. So there's a couple tricks after you pull the interior to dry it out a little quicker, and a couple words of caution when you're drying it out. So let's get the interior out of this thing and go from there. So we've had the carpet sitting on these stands for a couple hours now. And as you can see, there's some puddles on the ground. All that was in the padding. So when they're sitting in the stands like this, you want to keep them as vertical as possible. All the water kind of drains to the bottom and out. If they're sitting flat, it just kind of sits there and it just dries really slowly. So when it's up like this, the gravity kind of helps you as well as the air. I got a big fan over there. I'll turn you around so you can see all of it in a second. But yeah, so the fan just kind of blows through all this, and then I just got everything lined up so I can have one fan doing everything. You don't necessarily need a big fan. A little box fan will do it, just take a little bit longer. This fan, even as wet as this stuff was, will dry this stuff out. I should be able to put it in about 12 hours at max. So here's our whole setup. The air just kind of moves through all these pieces and hopefully dries them out. While you got it out, it'll be a good time to clean underneath the seats and vacuum it all out real good before you put it back in. And then I got down here, I got the rear seat bottom. Now these are basically just a huge sponge. So they're going to soak up all the water. So these you want to keep vertical. The front seats aren't so bad because they have airflow underneath them and they're up, so they will just naturally drain over time. Same thing with the rear seat backs. It's just the seat bottoms for the rear seats that you might have to worry about when there's no airflow to them. So that's why I got it sitting vertical here underneath everything else. So now let me take you over to the car and show you what to do with the rest of it. So for the rest of the car, you can just take and soak it up with a towel or dry it up with a shop vac. But the one thing you do want to try and do is if you have a blowgun, blow out underneath here because water will collect underneath here. So just stick an air gun in there and blow it out, dry the rest of it out. Because once you put the carpeting back in, any water that's in there will never dry. I actually had a Cutlass convertible that was a rollover, and the customer bought it, vacuumed all the water off the surface, and then put it away in storage. It sat there for about 3 years inside, and then I got the job. So when I took the carpeting out, there was still an inch of water underneath the carpeting in the padding that in 3 years hadn't dried at all. So we ended up having to throw the carpeting away because it was all full of mold and pretty nasty. So it will actually never dry with the padding and the carpeting still in there. You have to take it out to dry it out properly. So I did say there would be some words of caution. And my words of caution are, don't do what I was taught. Originally when I was taught how to dry an interior, it was pull it all out just like this and put it out in the sun because that'll help dry it faster. Not only does that not dry it faster, but it will actually shrink the material and not fit properly when you put it back in the car. It'll pull away from the trim panels on the sides, it'll just be too short. So don't put it out in the sun. Don't use a heat gun on it. Hang it or keep it vertical as much as possible and have plenty of airflow around it, just like we did. Even carpeting is completely soaked will dry out within 24 hours with this method. So if you have one of these cardboard spare tire covers and it's all warped because it got wet and stuff was set on top of it and you want to straighten it out because the dealers want ridiculous money for this piece of cardboard, junkyards never have them and they're never good. So you can kind of fix your other one. What you want to do is get it wet, soak it real good, and then lay it out flat. And then I put some bleach on there to kill any mold or anything. And then just put some heavy stuff. To fill that bucket up. But you get the idea. Put a bunch of heavy stuff on it, keep it flat. I'm gonna probably soak it down a little bit more. And then let it sit. It's gonna take a few days for it to completely dry. If you put a fan on it, sometimes it'll help speed up the process, but you don't get a whole lot of airflow because it is sitting flat against the ground. But once it dries, take the buckets off and it'll lay flat again till the next time it gets wet. And the Grand Am is still sitting right where I left it. Although I do now have a dashboard to go in the car, so I'll change that out. And then maybe we'll fix our other one. See how it holds up. But since this is my winter car and I still have a few more months left of summer and a little bit of fall, it can sit for a little while. I got some other projects to do and a Mustang to get back to. So if you found this video helpful, give it a like. If you're still salty that I'm not working on the Mustang, give it a dislike. Subscribe to see more of whatever else I'm working on. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you Friday.